way audiovisual operates inside hotels today hasn't kept up with the experience hotels are looking for.
For all the hotel owners that are listening, what's the one question they should be asking?
The hotel owns everything. It owns F&B, it owns the carpeting, it owns the chandeliers, but it really doesn't own AV, does it?
Every industry has a moment when it has to confront its own outdated systems. Welcome to Full Resolution. For years, Hospitality AV has operated on a model built around rentals, line items, and complexity. We helped build that system, and now we're here to challenge it. There's a clearer, smarter approach rooted in ownership, operational efficiency, and real revenue growth. Join us, and let's get this movement started.
So it sounds like, here's what we've explored so far. There was a transformation through permanent installations. It was, it basically, it changed the room aesthetics, right? Because you no longer had to have all of this temporary gear set up all over the place. So that was obviously a benefit. The other benefit was, you mentioned we didn't go on the cheap installing the right stuff. So we got a sign off and a trust factor from that perspective. But all of this led up to that sort of moment when we looked at the financials. How did that ultimately work out?
Yeah, no, the hotel, I can only speak for the hotel, we saw growth. It was a win-win. So we were capturing more and more revenue, like millions more, and the hotel was seeing it flow through to the bottom line. And the beauty of that revenue stream for a hotel is it's straight to the bottom line. And so that is extremely impactful because it costs the hotel no labor to grow. And so I think it was a win-win for sure. I think the AV company, AVT at the time, was definitely seeing things pay off and seeing a return on their investment, and it definitely paid off for the hotel with our margins.
So from your perspective, I guess, so profitability was one, the guest experience also a huge point. And then how about the overall reputation then of the hotel, how it was perceived? Because I'm sure your competition didn't have this sort of arrow in their quiver.
They definitely didn't. The competition in the local area was still in the old push it in, set it up market. I think it gave us a reputation to earn more business. And I think that it was, I don't think we did a good job of necessarily showing the capture, but I remember the wins. I remember moving business over. I remember, a great example is Glad. We brought them in and took them through walked them through the whole building and how they could envision what this would look like. We showed them what it could look like on stage and how we were the partners, both the hotel and the AV company, in their set design and creating this environment to up their level of show. And their show just kept growing with us. And I think that's a good example. There were many examples like that where we were growing together. We were elevating each other.
And I would imagine if knowing how your ballroom was set up, that if somebody was short on time and they were just behind on planning, didn't that give you a big advantage as well, knowing that they didn't have to deal with this extra element of coordination of AV gear?
100%. I could do something you could come in and set something up for tomorrow and we would be ready. Like, there's no question that we had the infrastructure and the networking infrastructure and the dry patching infrastructure to make it simple and less labor intensive for any group coming in. And as we grew together, the AV company kept investing more money in, and we were able to work together. The hotel and AVT worked together to figure out what was the next thing that needed to be put in that would actually grow business.
So that whole international ballroom story, it sounds, if I think about it, like the moment AV stopped being temporary, everything changed.
Yeah, everything changed. We just kept adding fun stuff, add more moving lights. We added, you know, I think we added some decor elements. We got into the decor place too, where, you know, we knew every show needed this star drop backdrop. And so guess what? We put a black star drape in, whatever you call those. And it was great. It's a black backdrop turned off, but if somebody wanted it, it was a flip of a switch.
So I guess what we're saying here is that when AV becomes permanent, it becomes predictable and it becomes consistent and it becomes part of the hotel experience, not an add-on. I think I heard you say that.
It's absolutely, and it's actually, I think the most important thing for the hotel is it drives business to the hotel.
And I guess that's the whole point of this conversation, because what we're trying to drive home here is that we're moving from a concession to actual hotel infrastructure, correct?
Absolutely. It's having it built in makes it so much more efficient and predictable for everybody.
So let me ask you a question. You had it in the International Ballroom. What if somebody asked you to go back to the old way? What would your comment
Oh,
be to that?
I would have quit. There is no going back once you have that. Once you have the flexibility and the confidence in what's in there, I mean, you can't go backwards.
And we haven't really yet talked about the pricing model, because again, you know, what you're doing there is you're not buying gear one line item at a time. You're buying the experience. So how did that work out for the users of that room? Was that a huge win at the end of the day?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was more so that the sound system was the sound system for the room. And so you didn't have to sit there, okay, how many speakers do we need? How many amps? How many, all these little nickel and dime items? It was, I want this dynamic sound system, and this is what comes with it. And it's inherently going to be more cost effective because you don't have the labor to set it up and break it down.
Exactly right. So essentially, you know, holistically speaking, would you concur that this is better for the hotel, this is better for the planner, the organizer, the overall experience?
Oh, everybody wins. There's no question. Everybody wins. I mean, shows that, fundraisers that couldn't make the big punch and impact in another ballroom could get the punch and impact in the International Ballroom. I mean, it's like going to, it's like going to the movies or in the old days, it was like going to the movies or watching it on your 21-inch TV. Like when you have that bass and you can feel it, and it helps elevate the energy when you're trying to like raise money. And that's what a lot of the events in the International Ballroom were fundraisers, very high ticket. It's their big funding push for the year. It's critical that they actually make an impact and move people to give. That was huge. And then, you look at a corporate event and what are they used to? In a traditional ballroom, they're used to a bunch of pipe and drape with a screen and two speakers on sticks. But when you're in the International Ballroom, you've got two IMAG screens, stage right, stage left. You've got a dramatic, sound system that you can, when people are coming in, the walk-in music and the values of the moving lights gets people awake. You don't have to rely on coffee.
So Michael, if there's, for all the hotel owners that are listening, what's the one question they should be asking?
How can I do this at my hotel? And I think what they should start questioning is, if this is my customer and this is my reputation, why am I giving so much to these outside AV companies that really don't have their reputation on the line? And they just keep taking, it just feels like they keep taking more. When the hotel has to go through all the work to bring the customer in. The AV companies very seldom have I ever seen, except for AVT, able to drive business. They're just sitting there take menu item, check,
Taking the order.
and it's taking orders. And there's
Yeah.
no vested interest in growing the business or the revenue stream or capturing the business. They're just sitting there as a passenger, or a leech, I should say, sucking along. I mean, they're just sucking off the what the hotel is doing. I think that, I mean, that sounds dramatic, and maybe seems unfair, but really, it's they just keep increasing their capture of the profit.
Well, and for decades, realistically, the hotels could only choose between AV vendors. If you didn't like your current AV vendor, you'd go choose another one. But realistically, those vendors were operating on the same model. What we're talking about here today is choice between Model A, the traditional model, or Model B, the more permanently installed model, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think that's a completely different conversation, the difference between Model A and Model B. And, the hotels that understand that shift early, I think will have a real competitive advantage. What do you think?
I think they will. I think especially as meeting planners start to see it more, it's going to be, if you didn't do this, you're really behind. And I think it's going to, as with anything, it'll take a little bit of time for it to gain some momentum with the meeting planners. But once it does, if you haven't done it, it's going to impact your ability to capture business.
Just a quick review. Better for site inspections, better as a competitive advantage, better financially, better for turning rooms because everything's permanently installed. You're not spending time, setting it up, striking it, taping down cables, etc. So all around, from your perspective, that's just a model that everybody should move to.
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny you just hit on something. It's the scheduling and labor that it takes to coordinate. You have to coordinate with the AV company in the hotel because there's a certain order. When you're setting up, the AV's got to go up, then the tables can go in, then the AV's got to go around and adjust, and then you have the show, and then the same thing. You got to go back out of it. You got to take the tables out so the AV can come in, and so you just added so much complexity and time. Why not have something that's in there, eliminates all the tables, stay in, everything stays in, and you can turn a business from lunch to dinner without any problem. It's so funny. Meeting groups come in sometimes, they want 2-day setups. Like, who needs a 2-day setup?
That's exactly right.
The old way.
And the problem with a 2-day setup in a hotel is you think it's just the ballroom, but no, it's the guest rooms, because now you've got this gap and you have these valleys in your guest rooms and you'll never sell it. You'll never recover it. So if you try to butt up 2 groups that are 100 rooms a night and you can't, and you need a 2-day setup, you now have a valley of an empty hotel in between because the arrival departures are going to be screwed up. And that's a big multiplier. Think about it. You can never recover a one-night valley.
And nobody's thinking of it this way. The connection that needs to be made this way, that's what I think that's another good point of the hotel owning this part of the business, because they can weave it in to the other part of the operations versus it being done the old way and it giving you that big valley, as you said.
Absolutely. And when you were talking about the site visit, if a meeting planner is coming through a city and looking at 3 or 4 hotels, every one of those ballrooms is in some stage of disarray or just emptiness. They never see the AV. But when you come in and it's fully installed, they see the AV, but they also see what the result of it can be, because you can run a program and show them what the impact is. Like, now you just set yourself as a differentiator from all the other hotels that are doing it the old way.
So Model A, we could dub as the traditional model. Model B, obviously, is what we're talking about here today, Apex Global, where we are allowing the hotels to place themselves into the audiovisual business nearly risk-free with the management company of people that, it could be said, invented the industry originally. So, how much more powerful? What is your perspective of Apex Global when I say things like that?
So I definitely think the experts are bringing the next new thing out there for sure, and there's full trust in that. I think the level of what can be installed, and the support with capital that you're putting behind it to help support this mission is very impactful and will open people's eyes to how things should be done.
So I guess the question then, just to put the icing on the cake now, the question that should be asked is, does your AV model match the level of experience that guests should have? And if it doesn't, what are you going to do about it, right? I think that's it.
Absolutely. And what every hotel operator that has Apex in there should say, let me show you, because I can show you. I can turn it on right now. Go find a competitor that can do that.
Well, Michael, your perspective, especially coming from the illustrious career that you've had, this isn't, a made up sort of story. This is real life experience, boots on the ground. You living this every day as hotel manager at the Beverly Hilton, and it was really great having you on the show today to share your perspective. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. I really appreciate the time being on this.
All right. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with somebody in hospitality.
Because this shift is happening now.
Follow, subscribe, and stay part of the conversation.
And if you want to learn more about what we're building, visit us at amsyshospitality.com.
Thanks for listening to Full Resolution. We'll see you on the next one.